Today we have Victoria Postigo from Prime of Lime. She is the founder of a fashion company. She's going to tell us her story, the brand story, how she has adapted throughout the years and everything she has learned in her first collection and applied on her second collection.
Hey everyone, we're back at Coffee with Founders. Today we have Maria Victoria Postigo with us. She's the founder of Prime of Lime. Maria Victoria, thank you so much for being here with us.
Hi, oh my gosh, it's so nice to be here with you.
We're very excited. We're very excited to talk about you, to talk about your new collection, the behind the scenes. So why don't we start? Tell us a little bit about, your story. How did you get into fashion? How do you start with Prime of Lime?
I started Prime of Lime right after I graduated from college. I went to Parsons. And for my thesis, I hand painted a pair of sneakers. And wherever I would go, people would ask me like, oh my gosh, where did you buy them? And I was like, no, I made them. And so eventually enough people asked me, and then I was like, I feel like I have to make a business out of this. Like I should start selling this. And so eventually one thing led to the other, and I officially founded Prime of Lime. And I started selling the sneakers. And then, eventually we went into tops that were hand painted, and well, now we're here, which is a new chapter of Prime of Lime, but I'm very excited about it anyways.
That's exciting. Maria Victoria, tell me the story behind the name. What was your inspiration when you decided, okay, I'm going to start with sneakers. Everybody's asking me, right? But how do I make it into a business? What was the inspiration behind it? The branding concept? How was that process?
So in terms of the name, Prime of Lime, I watch Friends every night before I go to bed. So basically for me, there's an episode in which Monica is like sick and she's trying to make a point, like get a point across. And she said, we're in the prime of Lime instead of prime of life, because she was sick and she couldn't say it. So to me, of all the episodes, that's something that always stuck to me. And I would always say like late into the night, when I was like sewing or painting or whatever, I was like, I'm in the prime of Lime. I'm in the prime of Lime. Because I just said, like, I'm in the prime of life. This is the moment to do these things. It's the moment to not sleep. It's the moment to, have a 1 week without sleeping, turning things in. And so it was always something that really motivated me in my everyday. So when I founded the brand originally, even when my thesis at Parsons, it was Maria Victoria, made in the prime of Lime. And then because that's where I am. And so, but eventually it just became Prime of Lime. I had Prime of Lime, I created the Instagram in like 2016 or so. Like it's just been forever. And it just made sense to me because I make clothes for women in the prime of Lime, whatever that is for you, but if you're, starting a new business, if you just got out of college, if you're working, you're in your prime of Lime, that's who I make clothes for. So that's the inspiration behind the name.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's kind of the story behind that. But I started the shoes as well because the shoes I started after I graduated. I was working part-time and here and there, but in that New Year's actually, I want to do something that makes me happy. And there was a quote specifically from a song that said, we can't stop the world, but there's so much more that we could do. And at that moment, my grandmother had just been sick diagnosed with ALS. And so I said, I want to help the community in some way. I want to be able to do something for it. And so I said, I want to do shoes, I want to do this, and I want in some way for that to merge. And so that's what I did. So eventually what I did was Prime of Lime, the hand painted shoes, and that a part of the profits would go to ALS for research. And I felt in that sense, we were helping each other out. And it was just kind of a way of me saying, I can't stop the reality of my grandmother, but I can help out others. So that's kind of the story behind that.
That's awesome. And so when you started, because I think for a lot of entrepreneurs and people that want to start a business, you have an idea and first you hand painted the shoes and you did it yourself. How was that process from, I did a pair of shoes and then 10 and then 20, how did it become, when you started growing, how did you handle that situation where you started producing a little more quantities and everything?
So it was quite a process, because obviously I did it at first very order based. So, but I mean, again, it's super overwhelming because sometimes I get one order, sometimes I get 20 orders. So I was lucky enough in my building in New York where, because obviously in my house I couldn't paint it because the paint would go all over the place.
Right.
The next to the trash chute, quite literally, there was a little room, a dark little room, and they let me paint there. So I would lay all the shoes out with post-its in front saying like this color, this color, this color, and then I would kind of paint it on that. If there was a few of the same style, then I would paint them at the same time. But that's how I would do it. And so each shoe, like they take about like 8 to 10 days to dry correctly. So each shoe to me was like, I'd go in and paint like the greens, and then an hour later the blues, and then like that. So and through layers. And so kind of organize myself that way and make sure that they were all obviously painted. Some take longer than others, but then they take a few days. So I would just kind of organize myself that in that little room. There wasn't even signal there. I was literally like, it was me with my iPod in like a
Really
dark
your
little room.
your inspiration room. You can't get out of here without finishing your
It's
project.
amazing. If you ever want to go think, that's the place to, because no one can bother you there. There was nothing. So it was great. That's what I would do. And I would go upstairs home and then come back down and keep painting and like that. But it was always me. And eventually it did become a problem because obviously it was always a challenge for me, because I always thought if I get a 200 pair order, like what's going to happen? Because I was just me alone. Luckily, I never got to that point. I did so many pairs over time, but I always thought, well, if that were the case, then I'll get someone to help me out to do so. And luckily, I always had people helping me out, even with the shoelaces, because while things would dry, I would cut the shoelaces, because the shoelaces were also like, had to be a measurement. They had to be, it's a whole thing. But I mean, yeah, that's kind of which is kind of where I am right now. Kind of, I started very manual, and my second collection, which was my first collection of tops, was also very manual. I dyed everything, I embroidered everything myself. And now we're finally growing the way that we have to scale it up. So that's what we're doing now. And it's been weird because obviously I'm used to doing everything on myself, like by my own, like I'm always dyeing or hand painting or cutting things. And now it's like, wait, there's someone else doing all these things.
Right. And that's interesting, Maria Victoria. I want to know a little bit more about that. That is a challenge that we are facing. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs that we talk to, that we interview here at Coffee with Founders, they say the same thing, delegating. So hard because in the beginning you're small enough to do it yourself, right? And then you're saving money, you're trying to grow the business instead of paying other people, even though you need the help. But it gets to a point where you actually need the help, you don't have the time, and then you need to start delegating. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough, when we started designing this collection, it was mid-pandemic, and I was still dyeing the last collection. I dye everything, and I was drawing all the flowers and embroidering everything. So when we started this collection, I of course said, oh, I'm gonna dye things. And then I was dyeing everything. And I was like, there's no way that this is gonna grow if I keep dyeing everything, And it's either me keep doing it and keep it small, or having a huge studio of people that I have to hire and teach to dye things, or find another way around it. And so what we worked on was basically, what I said was, I want to make the prints myself. Basically, I drew out the butterflies and the flowers this season. I had a friend from an old colleague from a company that I worked at, digitalize them, and then we and then we printed them out on the fabric. And so I found that being a happy middle, because obviously it's like, I feel like I'm still there, like I still did it, and it's something unique to the brand. And by capsule, like the print will always be unique, and yet we're growing, so I'm not painting everything, which is really nice too.
Yeah, and I think that's very important, because not only you have to, when you're spending time sewing yourself and painting yourself, at the same time, who's going to grow the business? Who's going to bring the customers? How are you doing that? So
Yeah.
now that you have some more free time to do that and actually grow the business, so what strategies are you doing? I know you recently moved from New York City to Miami. So is that a little bit of the strategy towards the business? Is that helping growing the business? So what are you doing on the business side of it?
In so many ways, Prime of Lime is very much a reflection of where I am in life. And so moving to Miami was a personal but also a very professional decision.
Okay.
It's very, I'm the owner, the founder of everything. It's part of me. It's what I think of, dream of, and breathe every day. So moving to Miami was a both personal but professional decision. I felt like I lived in New York for so many years, and as much as I loved it, we didn't know when I was going to come back in the pandemic. It was super sad. It was very hard to do any business in New York because everything was closed and they had so many like laws and rules, and like there was a lot going on. And so
Right.
when I moved to Miami, I found an amazing factory to work with me. I was able to source everything from here, like all the fabrics. I was able to find everything that I found in New York, but here. So that was really, and even before I moved here officially, I was looking for all these things to make sure that I could do all of this here, but
Right.
before doing the official move. But then it also made sense to me because the clothes I make are very summerish, and we want to be like resort full year. We don't want to make a puffer jacket. So it just also makes sense. Exacto. Client base, like everyone wears summer clothes all year here, maybe in December, a cute little sweater or something, but
Right.
so it made sense for the strategy of the business. Also, like, factories are cheaper here, like the manufacturing is much less expensive than in New York. It comes with its challenges though, because in New York I'll be like, I need this done for tomorrow, and here it's like, we'll get it done in 3 weeks, and you're like, can I speed you up? And there's no way of doing it. So
Totally.
nothing is perfect. It's one thing for the other, but
Right. And I think also being in Miami, you are exposed to, I mean, you were exposed in New York to so many different cultures again. But I guess the location here in Miami is going to help you if in the future you need to outsource something or just send it out to another
100%.
country. I mean, being here, it's going to be a
Totally.
bit more strategic.
Yeah, because I mean, our clients are mainly in the US, but we're also focusing on Latin America. And so this is like the capital of Latin America too, in so many ways. Like, everyone comes in and out. There's always people like from Mexico, from Colombia, Venezuela, from so many places that come here a lot. My move helped that out too. It's not only for shipping, but there's always someone here, like if it's like my client can come pick it up, her friend, the sister of a sister is here, and like she comes and gets it. For business, it just makes so much sense for me to be here too.
Yeah.
And I feel like word of mouth in Latin America is really important. That's how I started my business. My business has always been a word of mouth. If anything, our challenge was always like, how do we change this to go online on the website to kind of to help kind of deal with orders, like because I was always me like writing down the orders and someone texting me because someone saw a pair of shoes somewhere and like they love them. And it was it's a way of, we've always been like, oh, how do we digitalize this? Because it's just easier. But yeah, my business has always been very word of mouth, and that's something very common and very easy in Latin America. So
for sure. And also the seasons, like you said, I mean, you were going to be limited for the time, and yes, forever.
Very.
And if you're here, it's all summer, basically summer all year long.
Summer all year. I can do an event in January, like I can do one in June, and it's gonna be the same clothes, and we're all fine. There's very few places where you could wear this clothing all year, and Miami is one of them. So
the personality of everyone here, I mean, it makes more sense. And we saw your second collection. You recently just launched it, and it looks amazing. We're very excited about you, excited for you and excited for the company. I want to know a little bit more about the Maria Victoria behind the second collection? If you look back and think, okay, this is who I was, this is who I, what I was thinking when I was hand painting the shoes, back then in 2016, right?
Mhm.
And who you are today with what you know. I'm interested in learning a little bit more about that. What differences have you seen so that entrepreneurs and people that see this video understand how you have grown?
I mean, wow. Since 2017 that we started, it's grown so much. First of all, when I started, I was fresh out of college. I was I was full-time working. So this was my project that I started.
Okay.
Um I eventually quit my job and took some time off to work on it, but it was only the shoes then, and I was full on like trunk shows and this and that. Then I started working again full time, so it was just kind of, again, it was kind of like a project. It was a very like the most important part of me, and I always knew that this is what I wanted to do. It was just like I wanted to learn before I fully committed to my brand, and I wanted to, whenever I did it, to really dedicate myself to it. um Not that I didn't before, but it was always like it was there, but I was like working till 4 o'clock in the morning and then going to an office and like having a full other role to do. And then now, well, basically, before the pandemic started, I was working, but I was making the last collection, which was all hand painted tops and everything. Well, I was designing it, and then came the pandemic, and we were about to launch it, so we had to delay everything, and then I was painting everything, and it was a lot of work. And I think in the pandemic in 2020, like, it changed us all in so many ways. And so as I was finishing dyeing that collection and selling that one, we started working on this new collection, and I learned so much through that collection. It was my first like ready like clothing collection. Before, I was always the shoes, and shoes are pretty easy. If you did with the size and they see the colors, you're fine. With clothes, it's like the fit and the this and the style and the color. There's like it's a lot. And something that I've seen it wherever I worked at, but living it day to day and trying to sell things to people, like, changes your perspective. So this collection is we started mid-pandemic. So first of all, we were like, we need a pair of very comfortable pants. I think it started with the pants. We were like, we want this idea to be very girly, but we want a pair of pants that the everyday woman can wear to work, like she can wear at home and feel comfortable. So it started partially with the pants. And then came the issue of, am I going to be painting things, or what are we going to be buying fabric with prints, or are we going to be buying just solids? Like, what are we going to be doing? And like I said, it was a very personal moment where I had to decide the future of the company. Is it going to be me? Is it going to be 20 other people dyeing things? Is it going to be, how is it going to work? And ultimately, I decided, I think the happiest middle was me designing these prints and feeling like I was still part of it without me actually painting every single butterfly on the tops. And then it was also just it just made sense because we wanted to grow it. We wanted the prices to be friendlier. We wanted not everything to be printed either, because that's something I learned when I had my own tops. It's like I sold a lot of, of the dyeing tops and everything, but a lot of them wanted them in white. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I mean, I wear white tops, but most of my closet is like prints, color. And so that's something that we kept in mind when we were designing this collection. I said, I want the prints. If it were by me, everything would be printed. Your audience, your public wants tops that are simpler, tops that are solid colors. And so we kept that super in mind. I mean, most of it right now is actually solid printed, because I was like, I don't want to lose clients. I want to grow, and I want them to love our prints, but I don't want to lose opportunities. As a small business, you want to make your range as big as possible, and kind of introduce people into the brand slowly. Let's say, you buy the one, I don't know, yellow top without the print, but then you love it so much that you're like, and I love the print and I'm going to get it. We want to introduce you guys into the Prime of Lime, the new chapter of Prime of Lime slowly. So that's something that we kept super in mind. We kept in mind so many things based on like last fitting issues. So we were like, okay, we want things to fit correctly. And so a lot of our things are smocked at the back because smocking fits so many different types of bodies,
For sure.
and it won't like smush you at all, but it'll just hold everything in really nicely. And so a lot of the things are smocked, and like we thought of washing things, like you want to throw something in the washer, and so let's make things over dry cleaning, which I mean some of our pieces are dry cleaning, but we thought of that, or like all of those things that the only way of you knowing these things is by living it.
For sure.
So there's certain things that you learn in school, there's certain tactics and things, but until you live it, until you have your own products, like you don't know what people like, so this new chapter is basically, it's really what I always wanted it to be. I wanted it to be approachable. I wanted it to be something that people could go and and just be like, I love that top and I want it in 5 different colors and get it,
I'm gonna go get it. Yeah.
and we wanted to, and we have a few different styles this season, kind of seeing what people like to buy. And so eventually what we want to do is like whatever styles we sell the most, obviously like have those always in our seasons. And we're thinking, as we create, I'm now creating holiday too. So I'm working on this, but I'm creating holiday too.
Right.
And what we want to do is essentially like small capsule collections around the year, not have 25 styles, but small capsule collections around the year to kind of grow it and kind of keeping our favorite styles in the collections,
Right.
and adding prints and different colors to the fabric and so on and so forth. It's a very exciting chapter. It's finally what I wanted to do, and I had quit my job before the pandemic too to fully like dedicate myself to this. So we now have a team too, which is super cool. I mean, I'm not alone all day at home like painting things. Now I have other people to help me out with. I have a marketing person, but she's also part of everything basically. She's kind of like my right hand. And then I have she's like a creative director of sorts. And so she helps small brands kind of develop their line sheets for selling and for everything. So I'm very lucky now to have a team, that to be able to invest in that team, but to have that, it's not just me alone with all this responsibility is awesome too.
I think that, like from where you started to where you are today, and, like you said, you had a specific niche that you were going after. Now you're opening up a little bit and you're trying to grow the company in big ways. And like you said before, first it was a lot of word of mouth, people talking and saying, because at the end of the day, you were going for a niche market, and once someone like it, then their friends are going to like it as well, because that's the market. Now that you're trying to grow it, and now you have a marketing team, and now what's the strategy that you're implementing, and what are the results that you're seeing based on, going more digital, getting more traffic on your website, getting more traffic on your social media, getting some influencers that you mentioned that you brought on board. So what are the strategies that you're doing right now to grow that market, and what are the results? What are you seeing on it?
So right now we're going to launch a full campaign with influencers in the next couple of weeks. So you'll see those. But we basically are just we are starting digital ads as well. As a small company, basically and working with a factory for the first time, it's been a challenge as well. So we're basically kind of making as we go, as we get orders right now. So that's what we're working on right now. So we are launching the campaign in a couple of weeks. We are just trying to, not more of word of mouth. We want to just be very digital and just kind of focus everything on the website. So we redirect everyone to the website in every single way. Like for me, people will be like, I want to order this. Here's the website. Like, so that it eventually becomes a more digital thing. But there are certain things like in fashion where people are like, I want to buy it, but I want to try it out. because it's a new brand. You don't know how things are gonna fit. You don't know what size you are. Yeah, once you know your size, you can be like, I want 5 of these because I want them in every color. But right
sure.
now, everyone's like, you know, what size am I? And like, I want to try it on before I buy it. So there's certain things that you can digitalize, but there's certain things that you cannot. And so we want to digitalize it, yes, but we also want to make like a couple of events where people come and try things out so that they know their size moving forward. And so that they can be like, oh, I love these pants. I want them in blue and yellow and green, whatever, whenever we launch those. And so, you know, it's just the challenge right now is the exposure. I'd say getting all those people, you know, as many eyes as possible to see the brand is the biggest thing. But I, you know, getting orders has been much easier this time around because it's like, again, it's like very wearable things. The biggest thing for me was wearability. I think it's always been, but I think before, because I was like painting it and whatnot, like it was not as wearable. And now because everything is so much more easy to understand and like very, very everyday, you know, like orders have just been coming in like crazy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is insane. Like I'm used to getting so many orders, but like, this is like, it's so easy. Like it's just it's a very different route. It has its challenges in so many ways, but for selling, it's just been so much easier, which is awesome.
For sure.
It's really what I wanted.
For sure. It's funny to see, you know, looking back, like you said, the brand is a representation of who you are, right? And who you were at that time, right? At your prime of life. But then it gets to a point that you are now here, you're growing as a person, the brand is growing as well, right?
Yeah.
And then it's adapting to not only time, because everything's changing due to the pandemic, but it's also adapting to the needs of everyone else. Because now you're saying it's a different fabric. Now we're printing it. Now we're not doing everything ourselves. Now we have a team. We're doing other quantities. It's we're implementing more solid colors instead of just prints like you liked before. So I guess I want to close with a very important question, and I just want to know a little bit more about you know what your thoughts are. It's also gonna help us as entrepreneurs. If you want share an advice with me and other people that are gonna watch the video. What has helped you to stay open, right, during all this time, and be able to be flexible? Because in business, I think the hardest thing, and this is from a personal standpoint, being flexible is super, super important, right? But it's very hard. So what have you kept in mind? What have you done to stay flexible during your strategies to be able to adapt and, you know, reach those markets and satisfy those needs out there?
So I'm going to go back to the pants because that was the biggest thing for me. Everyone, when I always do quizzes on Instagram and I always like, what do you think about this and that? And what's something that you want in your closet? And again, we have done a ton of, everyone said pants or sweatpants. And for me, I was like, I don't wear sweatpants. Like, I'm not a sweatpant girl, never been. And I think I only bought one pair in the pandemic. That was it.
Right.
And so, but we wanted to make the collection and everyone just keeps saying pants. So I said, I want to make a really comfortable pair of pants that doesn't look like a pair of sweatpants because that's not something I like. So that was, for example, that's I think the perfect example of everything. Like I'm listening to my audience and I'm like, yes, I'm going to give you the pants, but I'm not going to give you a pair of sweatpants because that's not something I would wear.
To yourself, for sure.
Not true to me, not true to the brand, but I'm going to give you that pair of pants and I'm going to make it really comfortable and very wearable for you to be able to wear it at home. Like you can wear it to the office or wherever you go without feeling like to me, sweatpants have always been like in the movies, like when they break up with you, like the girl in like the deli and with the hair and the sweatpants. And
those are big sweatpants, right?
Like defeated. And they're really comfortable, by the way. I only have one and they're really comfortable. So
by the way, I like them now, but
well, I mean, I only have a pair, but yes. But so for me, I've never worn a pair of sweatpants outside of my house. I wanted to make a pair of pants that was comfortable as a sweatpant, but as wearable as a regular pant. And that was something that you have to listen to your audience at the end of the day. Like they're the people who are going to buy from you. They're the people who are looking at your Instagram every day to shop from you. We kept the pants, the t-shirt. kept the t-shirt as well, because we know that those sell really well, and that our audience loves a t-shirt. So we kept the t-shirt, we made it cuter and cropped it, and like it's amazing, and it's our colors too. It's our first t-shirt that we designed, and something that goes perfectly with the pants. So, you know, I think I think if I would have ever designed something, it would have been like silk or denim or something like that in pants. And so I said, well, I can, but I want to design something that they really want. And since they were asking for sweatpants and they were asking for all these things, I was like, no, let's make something really comfortable.
Right.
Great to, you can go to anywhere in the airport, like the office, without looking like you're defeated. That's really what we wanted. And so I think that's the best example of what you're saying.
Being flexible, for sure.
That is awesome. Maria Victoria, we really appreciate this time and, sharing your experience, your growth with us. We're very proud of what you're doing and what you're accomplishing, and we wish you the best in the next years and the next collections that we know you're going to launch in the future.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for your time and for interviewing me. It's like such a privilege to be part of this series, and like I'm excited to share. I'm excited to share everything I've learned.
It's fun to see, to learn more about the brand and about the name, about the products. You see them on the website, but you don't know the story behind it. So we definitely appreciate you being open and sharing everything with us. Thank you very much. We'll be in touch. We wish you the very best, Maria Victoria, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday in the next Coffee with Founders.
Bye.